Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bibliomancy for Beginners, our spin-off series, Nostalgia Junkie. We're in rereading the Pendragon books, and we are almost done. There's only one more episode after this one, guys. We're on episode number 9. But before we get into talking about it, I'm going to let my lovely co-hosts introduce themselves, starting with Gretchen.
Hi, all. I'm Gretchen from the blog My Life is a Notebook, if you happen to be finding this there. I have had a... Spoilers, they may be swearing. I have had a really shitty morning, but then I spent the afternoon in 2 of my favorite classes, and then the rest of it making booktube videos with Michaela, and which are coming soon to a computer near you. So I feel much better now, and also I have alcohol, also courtesy of Michaela.
I'm the best.
I started a new feature on my blog today called Thesis Thursdays, where I am discussing the stuff I'm doing for my thesis, both in my English and writing degree. And it's awesome because I'm basically just writing about YA literature and all these crazy YA books, like R.J. Maas. So instead of sounding as pretentious and crotchety as it may seem, it's actually just going all over the place, so you should check that out.
Casey?
Hi, I'm Casey, and my internet might be really awful, for which I'm sorry. While Gretchen was doing all sorts of intellectual pursuits, I've been reading Captain Underpants for homework and killing lots of people in Party Hard, which is like the most fun video game ever.
Oh my god, yes.
So much fun. I like it because you don't have to be good at video games, which I'm really, 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 really not. But yeah, I just beat it because I'm the best. Anyway. Oh, I'm from the Drunk Librarian, but I haven't really blogged in a while because I've been busy killing people. So sorry, but...
That's a very noble pursuit, Casey.
I sort of also talk about YA books, but not like in the intellectual way Gretchen does. In a stupider way.
Oh, goodness.
And I don't have booze, but I have ginger ale.
Ooh.
Yay! I'm an adult. I'm an old woman. Leave me alone.
For your first, folks, Casey's actually really old. Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm from the blog The Pied Calls, which has been on hiatus because I've been trying to figure stuff out with my degree, which has not been working to my benefit. But it should be coming back soon, especially since I have to edit these videos that we've made today so that we can have those up for you guys, so you can learn a bit about our reading pasts and our reading preferences, I guess would be 2 ways to say that. I've been reading Frankenstein from my romantic Victorian literature class.
Boo!
I bought this beautiful book this weekend, which I want to talk about and review with our upcoming book club series called Bibliomancy, where we drink alcohol and talk about books. But this will be probably the last book that we talk about, because first we have to do Gretchen's and then Taylor's and then mine. But plus it's
Wait, I thought we were doing Taylor's last.
Are we doing Taylor's last?
Yeah, we're doing Taylor's last.
Okay, then we'll do this one in November.
The only reason that I know that is because Taylor and I are also reading a book that we need for a final paper in the class that we are taking together. So we are going to do it for your pleasure and also our...
They're basically making me do work that they have to do anyway.
Listen, we're pleasing Chris Holmes.
But I'm thinking like a really great postmodernist text. That's the new book by Mark C. Danielewski, who wrote the... Oh, God.
House of Leaves.
House of Leaves, yes. And this is basically chapter 1 of a book being published in 27 volumes. And it's like over 900 pages. So,
Holy cow.
If you're looking to join us for Bibliomancy on a more readable book, the first weekend of October, we'll be doing The Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Lainey Taylor.
Wyatt.
Hey.
This is also YA.
You can tell because it's all angry.
I want to know if the guy in the
Doesn't he
background
look
cover
Oh, he looks like he
This
leads
guy
a
back
boy
here,
band.
this is either Donald Trump or Joel Osteen, or their love child. I can't tell.
Yeah. While we're talking about this, today we're going to be talking about Raven Rise, which is the 9th book in the Pendragon series.
No ravens actually rise, I would like to say.
0 ravens. Spoiler alert, no ravens.
Michaela is now going to read the inside flap of the book, and I am not going to make gestures as she does so because that annoys her. Just so you know, I have been silenced by the man.
I have said nothing about it. You can gesture as much as you want. It's just very distracting. This is for those of you who have not read the book or read it a long time ago and need a reminder of what this particular book is about. The moment of truth, ... This is where it begins. Hashtag this is book 9. The showdown for all at stake is nothing less than all that ever was and all that will be. There's only one thing missing, Bobby Pendragon. While Bobby remains trapped on Ibarra, the battle moves to Chetwynd are left on the forces of St. Dane. They must face off against a charismatic cult leader who has risen to power by revealing a shattering truth to the people of Earth. They are not alone. The convergence has broken down the walls. The territories are on a collision course. The final phase of St. Dane's quest to rule Hala is underway, and Bobby Pendragon is nowhere to be found. Dun, dun, dun. See? Yep. See?
I actually totally forgot he pushed out of the beginning. Like, so much happens in this book. By the time I reached the end, I totally I was like, oh, right, yeah, he was kind of totally useless for the first half of this book. Oops.
So, fun fact, this is book club, so we do talk about the characters and events in the novels, but we will give you a spoiler-free overview of sort of what we thought of this particular book, so that you can hear what we thought about it without having to feel like you're going to get spoiled if you haven't read it yet, but you should read it and then come back and listen to the rest of it, and I'll tell you when we'll start talking about spoilers, but first, spoiler-free, Gretchen, what did you think of this book?
I mean, I think as with any book in this long of a series that comes right before the finale, it's entirely rising action.
Yeah.
More so than a lot of the other books have been. Because the last couple, ever since like 6 or 7, have been more of a connected plotline, as we've talked about. Mm-hmm. But this one is definitely just rising action, and there is a lot of it that is very interesting, but also a lot of it that's just like and I mean, it's definitely really, really ramping up to a very explosive finale. I don't want to make it seem like I was bored. I didn't want to read the next one. Like, it definitely ramped it up enough so that I was like, oh my god, the next one, oh my god. But at the same time, it had its issues, and also there is this teeny tiny matter of how it ends. That we will
Wait,
discuss.
how this one ends?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not like it just bears discussion. Just gonna say. Also,
I totally
this
agree.
is the only book that when reading it, I actually put a tab in because get ready, there's gonna be like book throwing and words and feelings.
Yay!
Casey, what did you think of it?
This was the shit gets real book. I was kind of super disappointed by most of the last one. I thought this was really fun. It's kind of the book before finale that you usually get in a series where just everything starts going really wrong. And then just keeps getting worse, which you need, because then the final episode they're gonna make their stand, and actually I thought this built it up so well that when we get to the 10th book I'm gonna be a little disappointed by how it ends, but anyway, that's not important. I thought this was a lot of fun. It's not my favorite in the series so far, or overall. That's still number 7, but I thought that the Ravinian was really well thought out and worked into the story pretty well. Yeah, I think maybe it would have been nicer if it had been hinted at earlier, but I'm not sure that's actually possible. I don't know how time travel, territory, magic, bullshit work. I don't know. I thought it was good.
Flawless.
Also, Alder. I love Alder. My lower third is just Alder. Anyway.
I feel like for me, rereading this, well, the first time I read it, it was like a hard 5 stars, like solid 5-star book. It's like a 4.5 star book now. Like, it's not bad, and it's actually really good, but it's not as amazing as I remember it being. Like, I feel like as a kid, this was like so like shocking and heartbreaking and like kind of anxiety inducing, and it was just like a really good penultimate book. But as an adult and having read so many other books, it does kind of have tropes that penultimate books have, and it's not as like hard hitting as you would think. And that does not mean that you should not read it, because it is great and you should definitely read it. You should read the whole series. I love the whole series, even the bad books.
In case you haven't gotten that by now.
I love it, guys. Read the books. But yeah, so it's degraded slightly over time for me, but it's still a really good.
I mean, I think it's just like a whole children's thing too.
Yeah.
Also, I think for me, I mean, this book was always around 4 stars, even the first time I read it.
Okay.
Simply because the religious despot thing just never goes over well for me.
Okay.
I'm just always like, and then Bobby's just such a butt. That's all I'm gonna say before she releases me to spoilers. But he's just such a butt. Such a butt.
In the beginning, absolutely.
We'll talk about this. I'll say that we'll start the spoiler section, but we always start on a good note, so you'll have to hold that thought for a minute and tell us what your favorite part is before you get into your like ranty bits, because we'll do that, and that'll probably be the rest of the episode. To be honest.
I mean, the thing that I tabbed actually isn't bad. Like,
okay.
It's just gonna be feelings, so I'm gonna keep it to there. Although, you know what? Maybe I will suggest what I'm going to talk about in good and bad ways, so I'm going to save it for the ranty bit of this. But my favorite part of this was how so many things came together. Mm-hmm. And that is the trademark of the later books, is that some of the things that seem very disparate and confusing in the first books finally come together and make sense. Whether for better or for worse, some of the ways that things are put together doesn't work as well. And I mean, I've already said my piece about how I feel about time travel and the multiple Earths and the way that that works. I'm not going to repeat that again. But I liked how it came together, and I liked how we finally saw the vision. Mm-hmm. And just, I've always said that I don't really understand Saint Dane. He's a very flat villain, but his ability to manipulate large amounts of people, I think, is even more terrifying to me now as an adult, because I recognize how easily that could be done and really has been done in our own history. And so that was interesting for me, was that even as parts of the plot didn't stand up as much to me as an older reader, the idea of Saint Dane as a villain is that he's getting even scarier. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, he's not the guy who wants to rule the world. He's the guy that just wants to push the domino. And that gives him more depth than I originally, and even throughout the series, have been giving him. So, like, I don't know, my favorite part is somehow the villain's plan, but I don't feel weird. Well, one of my favorite, there's also, yeah, that's what I'm going to go with right now. Okay, Casey.
Wow, that was really intellectual and well thought out. My favorite part was Alder. Oh my gosh, how is he not everyone's favorite traveler? He's just so nice. And he dies, and I was really upset.
Yeah.
Wait, crap, I don't know if we're in spoilers.
Yeah, we're in spoilers.
Thank God. And his bromance with Bobby, like, there's a moment where I was shipping it pretty hard when, like, Alder's got, like, his hand on his chest and they're, like, feeling the magic, and I'm gonna find it. It was something. I think he had more chemistry with Alder than he did with any of the women in this book. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't have anything smart to say. I just really like this character, and he's a really good balance for Bobby and for Mark and Courtney. And yeah, and also there's no fan fiction about him. I looked it up after our talk last 2 weeks ago.
My outrage at how few people have read the books in general, but yeah.
But the people who have really like the idea of Saint Dane and Bobby. That's the big one.
I mean,
it was disturbing.
Yeah. Also, ew. Ew.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially
so,
since that's a really big age range for his general body shape.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's really a fascinating thing if you want to go look it up, but I'm not sure I recommend it because I think he turns into a raven in one of them, and
weird
things get M-rated. It was weird. It was weird. Don't do it. Anyway, I love Alder, and I don't have smart words to say. I just have feelings.
Well, it's just like what they all lack through most of this is a supporting figure, especially after Press is gone, and they're like stand-ins around the way of a supporting figure. But Alder is just the one where he is like supporting, but at the same time he's like, Bobby, I trust you to do your thing. Whereas Uncle Press was supporting, but he's like, well, it's my way, and we're gonna do this the way that I want it. And Alder is just like, I just trust you.
I got you, bro.
Yeah, he's just a nice guy too. In young adult novels, it's hard to find the nice guy. They're always brooding. Bobby broods. Even Mark broods a little bit. Oh, there has no brooding.
Mark broods a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But he's not like an Edward Cullen sexy brooder. He's kind of, he's more of a tortured soul.
Brooding actually is.
Yeah, actually though.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, anyway. I like the oaf.
I'm going to take a leaf out of Casey's book and say that my favorite part was that we actually have characters that we care about dying in this book. And like
for like 20 pages and then they take it back. But yeah, sure.
But there's a retcon, and like that's probably the biggest problem that we all have with this is that retcon right there that happens. And like we had our favorite characters trapped. We've had characters that we don't care either at all about or not really that much about die, but this is the first time that there are characters that we have invested time and like we care about them and they die, and that's so terrifying to me, both little Michaela and like real me, that like even again I sort of got put back into that place of like, oh shit is going down.
I mean,
no.
I just wish they'd stay dead.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe all of them didn't have to die necessarily, but like the fact that at the end it's all taken back, like I'd forgotten they died because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just so upsetting because like I just like, where are the stakes then? Because like Mark's parents were supposed to die, but they're not dead. They're just out of time. Like these people supposed to be trapped.
No,
they're
for
dead.
all intents and purposes, they're dead. I mean, to Mark.
They're well, dead. I mean, you know, you can go back and get them. Like, it will end in specific continues end of the 10th book. But I just
no, but I agree.
About the end of the 10th
I've been complaining about the lack of bodies for a while. I get you. I feel.
You know who's the only person who has stayed dead? It is anyone's parents besides Bobby's. Bobby, the grand old savior, gets Uncle Press back, but Ramundi stays dead. Asa stays dead.
Why?
Like,
why? They're travelers too. I didn't understand that. Sorry.
That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna bring Press back, all of those other people needed to come back, I think.
So I feel like Child
Press
Michaela
wasn't super
theory.
useful in the next book.
Child
Spoiler.
Michaela theory was that Uncle Press isn't actually a traveler, and Uncle Press is actually the like supreme being, and like Bobby's supreme being in training, but the rest are all underlings to what Press is, which is why that they actually died so that their children could take their place, because as soon as somebody comes of age, the other person has to die. There's been a lot of books that follow that theory of like one person has to like give up their power for the next person to take on the mantle. And like and I agree, it is unfair that Bobby gets to have Press back. But
I guess it's for me, like I'm taking a writing children's literature class right now, and it's like writing children's literature, like little Bobby has a bad hair day and learns to accept himself kind of thing. So like my brain is to the point where it's like breaking down logic on a very basic children's scale. And because I know I didn't put that much thought into these books. And it's just like, man, I don't understand.
why?
I don't know, it's just like, so that's, I nitpick the logic of these books a lot. And just because if they are meant for children, I think that some children would ask that question.
Yeah, I feel like I did too when I read it as a kid. I cared less because I knew it was coming. I did remember that they had died and came back.
Oh, no, I remember that. I didn't remember that they died in the first place. Because I didn't give a shit who had died. Like, I knew we got Gunny and Spader back in the retcon.
Yes.
But, like, and I knew that, I remember that Patrick died because you said it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that happened.
That is literally, nobody cares about Patrick except for me. I care so much about Patrick.
I liked Patrick.
He just wanted to take care of his folks. No. Patrick, no. And he was fine, and I was like, oh, we're okay. He's okay.
No, that's how I
He's
felt.
okay.
I couldn't even be pissed at the ending, even though, yes, it is stupid, because I was so happy Alder was back.
And I think that's what it is. It's like
Patrick's death was brutal.
Like
Patrick's death, I think even if you didn't care about him, which I did, but like, oh, that was hard. Like, it was almost like humiliating. Like, he gets thrown through a truck and shot and like expected a rocket to land on him. Like, he got hit by everything.
And for like one of the like least like there and like highlighted travelers, that is like a huge death for him. Like, this is a monumental moment. Patrick's death.
Yeah.
Tiny Michaela was like crying silent tears.
Oh.
You didn't deserve this.
Although in the retcon, can we also talk about, I think this is something that like pisses me off probably more than it should, is that Bobby's like, wait, we're waiting for one more person. And I'm like, what the fuck is so special about Lord?
And then she comes up and like kisses him? Like, where the hell did that come from?
Like, is it because you're like pseudo dead now in this like limbo space that you're like, all of my inhibitions have been freed? I didn't understand.
Still uncomfortable.
You've been gone for so many books, and all of a sudden you're like, let's kiss.
She has.
Oh my gosh, she's been gone forever.
Hasn't
She got replaced by Alder.
She never left Zada, so
Yeah,
she's been gone since book 6.
Yeah.
Wasn't around. Literally 3 books later, but like 3 chunky books where a lot of shit happens later.
I mean, that's the one good thing. She's like, dude, why didn't you come get me?
Yeah.
And he wanted to protect you. And that was the point where I thought she might like slap him instead of kiss him.
Yeah.
Like, and then, no. I don't know. I'm glad that we've jumped all the way to the end of the book before even discussing anything else. But it's, because
No. Yeah.
like, you think that I have mild feels about this ending. Wait until the next one.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't understand what you meant until I read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this isn't a bad end. And then there was an epilogue.
Is because I haven't reread the book yet, because I wasn't sure when we were going to do this episode, and I've had a lot of homework. But because I have promised you so many feelings and emotions, I have to make sure that I actually read it.
Yeah.
Because Tiny Gretchen promptly forgot the 10th book because she was so upset.
Wow.
So I remember being upset, and I remember why I'm upset, but I don't remember the actual contextual evidence surrounding why I am upset. And I would like to see if I actually understand a flying fuck now. But anyways, on that subject, while I'm swearing, let's talk about this flag.
That flag. Oh no,
Okay.
the flag of doom.
Do you remember? And you should remember, because in every damn episode of the later books, I have said, what the fuck is with this classist shit? Every single society is built on a them, they, like top, bottom kind of
The
society.
haves and the have
The
nots.
haves and the have-nots. Thank you for quoting Bobby here. Because on page 357,
Wait,
Everyone's
everyone's
turn.
this is like my goddamn English lesson for today.
Oh, I flipped right to it.
I exclaimed, why not? Look at Quillian. Wait, hold on. I think I might be reading it too far down.
Yeah, look at Quillen.
Okay. Yeah, no, wait. Hold on. So it's true, I said once Patrick finished. What is, Alder said. Alder asked. It's about Earth. St. Dane has influenced this Namir guy and his followers into putting Earth on a path the haves and the have-nots. It'll be great if you're a have. If not, yikes.
Yikes.
Alder asks, what are the other territories? The same thing, I exclaimed. Why not? Look at Quillian. There's Block and there's everyone else. Right there, right here. They're on Denderon right now. The Malago and the Bedouin have formed a super tribe that's going to march on Denderon. The same could happen on Sadat. The Rockador are a more advanced tribe, blah, blah, like about Elon, Nagar, Cleve. It's a reverse revolution. Instead of the oppressed people rising up to tear down the elite of each territory are gathering their resources to wipe out the lower classes. Earth will be a model for the others to follow. Right there is why all of these books are built like this, which is DJ at first. At first, because I totally respect that every single territory for 10 goddamn books, well, 9 technically, kind of, sort of, he's walked into it and he said there will be the have and the have-nots, which, quite frankly, even for Tiny Gretchen, was super annoying because I was like, why? They all look the same. And then there's a reason that they all look the same, and then it's slightly vindicated. Except for the fact that in that, he also said it's all about Earth. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go, coming back around.
It's all about Mark.
10 territories. 10 territories. Why is it all about Earth? Oh wait, because there's 3 of them and it's a timeline. Why is there 3 of them and it's a timeline? Because time travel is easy to do on Earth, giving it a very Earth-centric, Bobby ego-centric plotline.
To be fair, Mark is kind of the one who sets off the whole thing.
Okay, sorry, the straight white men egocentric plotline. So
And
I
the token
am
chick.
so angry that it's like this Earth-centric thing, and at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, for one thing, I mean, it's Hitler, basically. It's Hitler, and the Nazis come to destroy the Jews, unless you have, like, blonde hair and blue eyes and can pretend you're not Jewish. So that's, I mean, this makes it like that kind of a plot line, but at the same time, how can I be angry that the whole storyline is the have and the have-nots when that is the story of, like, life and, like, the 1% and the 99%? So I am super made of feeling, because at the same time, I find so much of that just kind of, like, lazy writing, because it ignores a lot of nuance and puts the focus somewhere I wish it wasn't. Like, you know, I would have loved, like, why couldn't it have been on the Rockador? The Rockador and the Batu, like, they're the only advanced societies on Zada. That's really cool. And, like, the fact that all of the Earth things are focused in, like, America, as opposed to, like,
there's one in China and one in Brazil.
So that kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm like, snap, snap, snap for a children's book to do all of this complicated thing. So I I am just made of very conflicted and angry and impressed feeling.
Here is going to be my argument about why I'm okay with it being Earth-centric. And I have been thinking about this because we've been talking about it for the last couple of things, because you have problems with it.
I do.
These books are being read by children, probably children who live in America, who are very self-centered because they are children. Children are very self-centered. That is one of their traits. It's a survival mechanism. It's true. They are going to want to think that the stuff that matters to them is the stuff that matters to everyone. So it could be said that the reason that it's all centered around this is so that the kid who's reading it can feel part of the story. Especially if they're reading it at the time period these were set in, because it's set in the time period they were published, basically.
I guess I'm also an
gotta
educator.
ask, do you enjoy Doctor Who?
I enjoy Doctor Who, I guess.
I was just gonna say, because as you were talking, I was thinking, how all the aliens only attack London.
I mean, I think that's because the BBC is made of 5 actors and 1
Okay, that's
studio.
fair. That's true. Michaela does not have that excuse.
But I mean,
There were no
I
budgetary
think-
constraints.
I think also I'm willing to give TV more lenience, although not all lenience. And also, there were a couple of episodes that actually took place in America on Doctor Who, at least. But I'm a huge fan of the Tennant years and the Eccleston years. Matt Smith, not so much. I haven't watched any of all these, but anyways. Because it's a TV show and they are stuck with the actors and the sets that they can reasonably get to. I don't give the book as much lenience because DJ could have gone anywhere, done anything, brought any characters. And I guess if you were already going to do 3 Earths, and I mean, I do.
We should also talk about the fact that even this book, number 9, is still ages 10 and up. So the age range, despite these getting more complicated, is still targeted at 10-year-olds, not teenagers.
I guess what I was gonna say too was that I've just been watching a lot of education stuff from an education class about like normalizing the unfamiliar, and I guess that I mean, this is unfair to ascribe to these books that were published a while ago, but like just being able to say like, fine, Bobby and America are the turning point on Second Earth, but you know, why couldn't Third Earth have been set in China? We all know we're going to become the United States of China anyways.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, yes, I would have enjoyed that too, to have more cultural diversity, especially since one of the things that we complained about with the early books was that there wasn't very much cultural diversity except for more being dark-skinned. Like, it just seemed like a bunch of different territories of rich white people and poor white people.
And Bobby, anytime that they made a mention of someone's skin tone, it was always people who were less advanced than Bobby considered himself to be. And anytime that it was more advanced, like Third Earth or Velox, I mean, in terms of the cover that we have, Aja's white, we're never told otherwise, and therefore we assume. And then Patrick Dean in New York is, again,
to be fair, they're pasty nerds, but...
Does he actually get a physical description other than like lanky and nerdy? Because I know that
he's got long hair, which I thought was surprising for a nerd, but you know.
That might just be the style in the future.
True.
But my thing was that, like, since they made such an effort to say that, like, Lauren Gunny were dark skinned, he's obviously keyed into the diversity issue, and that he has to. And I mean, it is just what you do. Characters are assumed to be white in our culture unless they are not, and then they are said to be other, which is annoying in and of itself.
I think that it's also because a lot of the characters and setups of this remind me a lot of the TV shows that DJ McHale produced and wrote on. It's very 90s drama setup. Like, aside from the fact that, like, multiple times they've said, this is sort of structured like how a TV show would be structured, or for X reason, Y reason, whatever. The, like, diversity percentages are very much a 90s show percentages. If you think of Are You Afraid of the Dark, they had, like, one character that was Native American, one character that was Hispanic, and one character that was African American, and the rest were white, and that's sort of like how these books are percentage-wise laid out. And it's to show that, yes, there is diversity, but it is still vast majority white, vast majority North American-centric, vastly Earth-centric. And that's just kind of the way that it is. And despite traveling to all of these places, I still think that it's because the 10-year-old who reads this wants to feel important. And if all of this is happening, not that they wouldn't enjoy it if all of this was happening on Zadok, I feel like part of the anxiety of especially this book is that it's happening in a weird alternate version of our time. Like, this is like what happens if World War II happened in America today. And like, that's terrifying to a 10-year-old child or a slightly older child. And like, I can see the validity of that, even if I would want more.
But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, oh, I'm still so impressed by the setup.
Right.
Like, I don't want to lose that in me being all like super like critical. Is that I am so impressed by the setup and the complexity of the setup. I guess the thing is that he's already done so well that I want him to do better.
Yeah.
Which is like a backwards compliment, I suppose. But it's just like, oh, you were so close.
It's a long list book. It's not a winner. It's like it gets on here because it has the potential, but it doesn't quite reach what you want it to reach.
And then also, like, the reason that I keep bringing up how angry I was about the end of the book is possibly because, like, I am not sure if I have yet to forgive this series for the way that it ended, which might help me be super critical about it.
Yeah.
Because, like, there is still this tiny Gretchen anger inside me towards all of these books, just because of how it ends up resolving. And so I think that helps me stand very far over here, just being like, why? But anyways, I'm done talking.
Michaela doesn't have that tiny Michaela anger. Tiny Michaela was all in on this series. She was like, I got this. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, Tiny Casey didn't read this as a kid, so she gave up around after the 5th book. But not really. I was impressed at how little I hated Courtney.
That is amazing.
I know, right? I actually like her in the next one. I kind of thought, and it might just be because I know it won't be handled in the next book. Like, Bobby kills a man, and that's just sort of shrugged off. Like, it happens. And that's a little, I don't know, that's a big moment. And, like, it has far-reaching consequences, but not really for Bobby. Like, they're consequences for the universe. But Bobby he doesn't really care that much. And I don't know, I just thought, like, I can't remember if it's in this book or the next one, Press is like, yeah, you screwed up. It's like,
it was the end of this one.
He killed someone. Guys, can this have some weight? I don't know. That bothered me.
This one could sort of be set in conjunction with the 3rd one, where we complained that he didn't kill someone.
That's true.
I think in the same way, though, it's a very interesting, because I know that Press doesn't really say anything about it, but St. Dane does. And I think in a way that is more powerful. I mean, I definitely think they should have addressed it.
St. Dane. Does he? I don't know.
Wait, what?
Like, I thought Bobby was just like, I am nothing like you, and then just gets over it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, but St. Dane does call him out on it, because that's when he says, you know, this was your final test, you lost. And I think that for Bobby, in a way, like, if Press had said anything, it just would have been like salt in the wounds. Because Bobby in that moment does realize, well, shit. And I really screwed up. And because it is funny that you bring up the 3rd book, because this is the very same setup, the same trap, really, that St. Dane set for him in the 3rd book, was you could you could stop World War II by crashing, or by not crashing this plane. And he was like, oh my God, like, I should do that. And in that way, it shows what happens when Bobby isn't checked by someone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bobby is
Bobby
yeah.
I think that's really smart. The problem is you're saying it didn't really come out in the book. The reason I was so annoyed by book 3 was it was like, Bobby is too good and pure to kill anyone. So I think that fall should have been harder, especially when he's suddenly expected to lead the travelers. Like, there could have been this whole, oh my God, how can I don't know.
So I think what it is that he hasn't actually had the blood on his hands, but he has felt like he has had the blood on his hands for a long time now, because a lot of people have died in the last couple of books that were like, not maybe by his hands, but he's held the responsibility for them on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like by this point, him killing a man isn't necessarily like unbelievable or unimaginable, because he's already had so many people die because of his faults that he's too terrified to like not kill somebody and have that have negative repercussions. It's a great trap, like honestly, to be like,
I mean,
remember that one time where this happened? Like, yeah, let's do this again and see what he does this time. And like, A+, snap the same thing. Same thing. You got this. You know how to fuck Bobby in the brain. Just.
I mean, I agree.
I just wish it had been more.
Yeah, I wish, and I think the problem is that it ends up happening too late.
Mm.
It happens right before the action has to swing back up, or like his arc has to swing back up. And so I kind of do wish, I mean, obviously, like, you know, the whole season of 3 was very important, but I kind of wish this had happened even just earlier in this book. And so that could have been dealt with more. It's kind of like Courtney kind of got at Mark's head. It just disappears, and it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's like the book is right there. It's right there, and then it just stops. But because I agree, I wish that had been dealt with, but they don't have time for it because it's, you know, St. Dane laughs at him, hoo ha ha, and then it's time to get the band back together and charge into the light. And so I think that I definitely trust that DJ would have been able to handle that well at this point of Bobby's arc, but it just butted up against the wrong part of the plot.
Oh, but think about it. He could have been like so horrified and like, but Alder and Lore are warriors, and they'd be like, what? I've killed tons of people. And then there could be like this ideological, it could have been so good.
I wish, what if that had happened right before he went to Ibarra? That would have made him seem like such a less of a pussy for disappearing on Ibarra.
That would have been a great reason to quit. Not just because he's tired, but because he feels like he failed. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, he definitely thought that he had beaten St. Dane without doing it. He trapped him there. But like, and then that was like his self-punishment, as opposed to like him.
And coulda, shoulda, didn't.
That's what
I agree. I mean, like, but I also can't like blame Bobby for pushing him off the thing, because like at that point I was like, kill Joel Osteen / Hitler / whatever this dude is.
Nuevo Hitler.
It's like,
yeah.
Xavier just annoys me. He is a snooty, bratty child who has been given the golden key and said, go be free. Tell the Third Reich that they are the special ones.
I feel like I'm just too optimistic. Like, I was sitting there like, people aren't going to actually, like, the UN is not going to vote on that, right?
Probably not.
Like, I don't see this really gaining traction, but maybe I'm being really, like, naive, sheltered little first world child.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak. I always found the idea of the UN voting on that to be really strange to me, because I couldn't speak for all of like the cultural leaders that were there. I always felt like there must be someone out there with a different ideological standpoint than like America. But
Aren't there
I
other
do the
countries
way that,
not
like,
in the UN too? Like, what about them?
yeah, same. The UN was odd, but like the idea of America reacting that way, I was like, yep, that's America.
Hashtag America.
Hashtag America, home of the free to pay.
Free to pay.
Pay to win. Oh yeah, pay to win.
Pay to win.
So I don't, because that's it's done so well. I think that if Saint Dane had tried to like Saint Dane using Namir was so perfect.
Yes.
Because I for a while I didn't understand Namir's character, so I was like, well, why wouldn't Saint Dane want to be that guy? But the thing about Saint Dane is that Saint Dane has never been that guy, and that's where he's so insidious.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Get go to the spring hay.
I take back my stance at the beginning of the series where I was like, Saint Dane is such a boring villain. And I'm like, he still is not quite three-dimensional as much as I want him to be. But snaps to that guy, because I have a lot more respect for his abilities now, reading them now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so clear. I mean, this whole video is going to be going, Saint Dane, body the butt.
Can we have like 10 new books for St. Dane's protagonist? He's fucking do everything.
It's like what Stephanie Meyer's gonna do and like rewrite Twilight from Edward's perspective. I want TJ to rewrite these books from St. Dane's perspective. It would be the jumpiest thing. Because he'd be like, and now I'm here, but this hinges on me being here at this time, and so I did this. And then I went back.
It would make even less sense than these two.
Yeah. Oh, it would just be like the ending of the 10th book for 10 books.
Yep. Basically.
By the way, I'm so sorry. I've had like nothing to contribute, but please. I can't say for sure what guided me to do what I did next. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was desperation. All I can say is that it felt right. I grasped Alder's hand, pulled it off my shoulder, and placed it square on my chest. Over the wound that had been torn open by the quig, Alder gave me a quizzical look. We're skipping. Alder didn't question. He didn't flinch. He didn't look away. I felt his hand press against my chest. It was warm. No, hot. My body started to tingle, as if blood were being pumped through my veins by a force beyond my own. Alder's eyes grew sharp. He felt it too. The spark was back. I felt my strength return. Blah, 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 blah. We stood staring at each other, both breathing hard. Yeah, I ship it so badly.
Flawless.
More romantic than the entire Twilight series. I'm sorry. You are welcome.
I have never appreciated dramatic reading more than this moment.
You're welcome.
Flawless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bromance.
Sorry, I'm tired.
Feel it.
You haven't said anything about Mark yet.
I know, and you could argue that this is the last time you'll really see Mark, but we'll talk about that next episode.
Yeah. I don't know. This might be point. I care too much about Mark to like do this right now.
Oh, she needs to write some poetry. She'll post it on Tumblr. Do we have a Tumblr?
No. I have a Tumblr, but it's mostly dedicated to K-pop stuff, so it'd be kind of odd.
K-pop and then the ode to Mark. A 57 stanza poem about feels.
I feel like some arcs for these characters, like Mark's is one of of all of the character arcs that I've read from children's books, is one of my favorite just character arcs. This poor kid who just gets kicked constantly. Just constantly kicked, like straight in the crotch. Like cannot catch a break. And like, I care too much. I care too much. I don't have words. It's too painful. I can't.
Was tiny Michaela really mad when she thought Mark died or was exiled or wherever? And he tried to save Courtney. He could have saved himself.
I don't know if it was mad or like at this. I don't know. I feel like I can't remember what tiny Michaela felt like because she cared sort of equally about Mark and Patrick, and Patrick's ending here is like so much more painful in a way than Mark's is, but I cared more about Mark at the same time. But in the same way, both of their character arcs was like, you didn't deserve this. This isn't right.
Bad things happen to good nerds.
Yeah, no, tiny Michaela and real life Michaela, just soft spot for the awkward nerdy kid, always, / adult / anything ever. Ever. Awkward nerdy dog, sure. Great. Sure.
I'm sure it exists.
I don't have words, and I think that like the same would be true of Tiny Michaela, that like it's frustrating, but at the same time, like it's proper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like there could be more. I feel like that is, it's not against the character, which is why I think I said that. Like, I think that's what would have happened. So like, I can't really complain. Like, it's not author intervention to like just sweep Mark out of the room. I feel like it's accurate.
Yeah.
It's painful and annoying, but I think that it's accurate.
Yeah, no, I think it was well done too. Especially, like I said, that moment where he could have left and then he didn't to save Courtney. Especially because you always sort of expect Courtney to save Mark. Because let's be honest, Mark is a weenie. But I thought that really showed. It was good foreshadowing a bit for what he's going to be in the next book. But I don't know. I think sometimes it's so easy because he just keeps getting kicked over and over again to forget, like, he's a good guy. And, like, we get to see that in a lot of ways he's a lot more selfless than Bobby. And, yeah, I thought that was a really good moment. Yeah, in some ways he might have made a better hero than Bobby, but maybe not.
I mean, honestly, as opposed to who is the chosen one,
Mark.
Like,
Mark is the chosen
Bobby was. It's kind of like, it's like the Harry Potter Neville thing.
Yeah.
Like, Harry Potter was assigned the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Neville's the one that comes out at the end and, like, kills the genie.
And grows up to be
like that kind of thing. Like, he could have been the chosen one. He is every much as the chosen one as Bobby is, or as, like, Bobby is. He just wasn't named that. Because, like, I mean, if there is no Mark, I mean, sure, St. Dane would have found a Mark stand-in. Like, there, you know, Mark is not the only smart, nerdy human on Earth. But, you know, the flume led St. Dane to Mark in a way. Because, like, you know, the flume dropped him off when he needed to be there.
And Mark kept Bobby grounded.
Yeah. No, Mark is my perfect, precious child who needs to be protected and is never protected and is just constantly kicked.
Yep.
Kicked straight in the groin. Constantly. He didn't deserve it, but whatever. It was
Poor Mark's groin. Let's all have a moment of silence for Mark's groin.
That's right.
Never didn't have a moment of silence.
Never got to kiss a girl. Poor Mark. Yep, no, that's my feelings.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I don't have anything.
So nothing about Neva being that was a pretty, I thought that was a solid twist actually. But I never see twists coming, so I need less gullible people.
Or
Huh?
which Neva twist?
The one where she's really the professor guy.
Oh, that one. Neva has a habit of being people she's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Telio.
Oh, I forgot about Telio. Yeah, that was a good one too. I never see twists coming, which makes books and movies really, really great. And then everyone thinks I'm stupid, but that's okay because I never predict it. But yeah, I don't know how predictable those were to like grown-ups, but I thought they were both. I like Neva's character as this. I don't know. It's like she keeps playing the character that she would like to be, but can't because she's fucked up.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'd agree with that. I can't really speak to reading it as an adult and not seeing it coming because I knew it was coming already.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, I know this is a thing, so I'm just waiting for it to happen. So I don't know. I could hand the book to Taylor and be like, Taylor, read this and tell me if you see stuff coming, but he probably won't because he'd be jumping in on book 9 in the series.
Make him read the whole series.
I want to, but
Blog about it. It would be great.
He was supposed to be doing this with us, and he's not.
Because he's a butt.
Much like Bobby.
Much like Bobby. I like how you're just lounging socially now.
Wait, why did you hate Bobby? We never really.
I don't know. I think I can't forgive him for like just whistling out on Ibarra.
Yeah.
I feel like Spence and Mark and Courtney in the beginning of that book, and like Alder and all this stuff is happening to all these people I actually like. And Bobby's like, I made a coconut smoothie on the beach. And I'm like,
It's so much nicer here than where you guys are.
I'm like,
I know. And everyone's like bleeding and crying.
and I'm like being hit on by Telio, and they're asking me to be their leader. So even though I've given up on everything, everything is still being handed. And I know Telio's Neva, and that's like a point, but like everything is still being handed to him on a sort of like, Bobby, the great Bobby. And I'm like, oh my God, can he not be punished?
It's supposed to make it harder for him to leave, which is kind of undone when we realize that Telio is actually Neva. But I get the point of it, but I agree, especially because it would like it would cut like from one of the other travelers like crying and bleeding, and then it would just be like, I built a boat today, guys.
Well, and then he's still like, and I know it's the conceit of the book, but then he's like writing these journals, like, maybe someday I'll go back when I decide to, and I'll like manage to get these. It's like,
Bobby, you could have kept your thoughts to yourself. Did you have to keep writing journals?
I feel like maybe like if we said like if he had killed someone or if there was. Because, like, I don't know how you actually expected to trap St. Dane there when there was another plume in Velos. Like, I mean, we discussed last time that the end of that book.
He didn't even patrol it. Like, dude.
He didn't really care.
Yeah, I know.
And then I do appreciate his plot later in the book. I do appreciate that. And he really does step up his game and realize, hey, I've got to help you guys. I have to step it up. I have to, you know, get my hands dirty. Like, he gets angry, he is in the middle of that fight, and he takes no prisoners, and he's definitely a very different man than the boy that we first encountered, and I do respect that.
Buddy.
But yeah, I just feel like if he had dealt with the Ibarra situation a little bit different, but then again, like, a little bit. Literally, if he had it on Ibarra, like, some of these things might not have happened, and therefore this plot wouldn't have happened. Yeah. So, like, Bobby literally had to be removed for a little while, which also annoys me, because, like, is that actually plot, or is that author intervention? Like, so I just, like, I'm just gonna leave it as it is, and just say, Bobby, you were a butt. You were drinking your coconut smoothie in your handmade boat while people were crying and dying. Like, and how did you think that was gonna work? It doesn't make any sense.
Killed him so hard. Yeah. I feel like part of it was for juxtaposition, just to be like, think how horrible this is.
But like the whole thing is that like everything was terrible because Bobby is gone.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
not just gone, but gone relaxing.
like Bobby is not, you know, like Alder is trapped and captured by his own people. Like, he can't even save his own people without Bobby's help. And I'm like, well, why not? Alder's got a tighter head on his shoulders. Like, why the fuck not? Like, okay, fine. Like, Courtney and Mark aren't travelers, and therefore they can't combat the forces of Traveler Evil without Traveler Bobby. But that's just like, that's just my feel. That's all.
Yeah.
That's just Bobby is a butt.
Alright, we just got a comment. It says no link. I don't know what you want to link for.
Yeah.
Without Bobby's help.
Alright, well.
I don't know what just happened.
I don't know either.
It's Raven Rise. There were nothing were rising because the ravens were St.
Surprisingly,
David.
for having left this as much as I did, I don't have.
I think we were all just kind of just waiting for
Yeah.
book 10. Like,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be like the wrap up video where
Yeah.
you find to be like, rah! And
To be fair, I enjoyed this. I think this is a solid 4 to 4.5 stars. Yeah, 4. I'm not as nice.
Yeah.
But
I always have to be the Donnie Dumpo. It's like,
We need that though.
just, I'm gonna call you out on all this really, really mediocre shit. And I mean, I think that it's telling of, like, because what I said are, like, really nitpicky things that really, like, I could take them or leave them for most of
And
them.
there's sort of things that are problems with the whole series, not necessarily this book in general. For the most part.
Because it's not like other books where I've been like, this plot is
dumb. This character is dumb.
Yeah, and again, like, I hope that it's come across that, like, I really respect the plotting that went into this series. This 10-book series, which is, like, it's not like it was an overarching plot of a trilogy, you know, which is, like, you know, introduction, rising action, falling action. It's super easy to do that in terms of, like, a larger plot. I mean, this is 10 books.
And like I said, rereading it, seeing how much shit was actually set up in those first books. When you're like, this is like the normal young adult book that's like self-contained and it sort of repeats itself a couple times so that the kid sort of knows what to expect. At the same time, it was like seeding all of these things for later that are so important to the end of the series. Holistic, guys. It was a series pitched as a series and not like, I'm just going to write a bunch of books. I care about this series. Did you not know I cared about this series? We have been talking for an hour, so I think that we're okay to stop talking if we would like.
Yeah,
we would.
Where can people find you guys around the internet?
Like I said, I'm Gretchen from the blog My Life is in Notebook. That's adkwriter15.wordpress.com. I'm adkwriter15 on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook. I am My Life is in Notebook, and on Goodreads, I am my name, Gretchen Holmeyer.
Well, the only place I'm really active is the Drunk Librarian, .wordpress.com. If you enjoy shipping and feels, that's all I do. And snark and GIFs, lots of GIFs.
And anger at some books.
John Green. I have 2 more chapters. I've been putting it off. I don't want to read anymore. But that's unrelated. Anyway, go hang out with me.
Last chapter. There's like nothing left. You're almost done.
I know. That's what makes it so hard.
Hi, I'm Michaela. Again, I'm from the blog wherein.wordpress.com, where I talk about books and comics and K-pop for the most part. We're gonna have videos coming out that are just us talking about book stuff. We did a bunch of tags today, and I'll be editing those, and hopefully you'll get them Monday. That's our goal. The last video in this series is next week. We might as well just do it Thursday again because it's how it always is. Let's just do it that way, just to keep it even. And then we have in Bibliomancy happening not long after that. 2 weeks? 1 week?
It's the first weekend of October, whenever that is.
Yes. So do look out for that and enjoy. And if you haven't seen the others in the series, I will link the playlist and our normal book club playlist as well somewhere so that you can go and see that. I hope you guys enjoy, and congrats to TJ Michaela, who had a new book come out this month. New series starting that's science fiction-y. So this one's more fantasy, but that one's like aliens and stuff.
I bet there'll be a lot of explaining things, which Gretchen would love. Think of all the science that can be explained.
Science.
Before
all over.
we know how I enjoyed that one.
Yes. So.
At least one book five.
Next week, be here next week. It's gonna be a shitstorm. It's of feelings and emotions and
Do the thing.
Mm-hmm.